Okay, this is a quick tutorial on making these little desktop calendars that I'm having fun making. And I'm going to show you the calendars first so you can see what you're making. And basically it's just the same little tent calendar, but I've got several different ways that I'm binding them together. Of course, regular coil spiral binding, so your calendar can flip over. Then I do 2 holes punched and little binder circles, goodness, whatever they're called. Also I tried just stitching the pages down so that they can just tear off a month at a time. And on the back of all of these I put the year calendar, so that can easily be just flipped around and looked at. Also, what works really good is the disc binder, little discs. And of course you would use the mushroom hole punch for that. But these are nice because they allow you to flip the calendar over also, or easily remove the pages if you want. I have 2 ways of doing the calendar, 1 month at a time, and also I've got where you can print them so that back to back there's a month on the back, and then once you've flipped all the way through June, the first 6 months, and you can just flip the calendar around and you've got the other months on the other side. So that's 2 options. I like to do those in cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to show you real quick how easy these go together. Okay, this is how I print them. Here's a printout of 1 month at a time, so there's nothing on the back. And I use good, maybe 24-pound paper, 32-pound paper, so they don't show through. So you'll cut out all 12 months of those. For the back-to-back ones, I use the cardstock. And so you would print side 1, then you would print side 1B on the back. And so when you cut them out, they'll match up. And these I do on cardstock. Those are all 4x6. I also have the 5x7 size, which is 2 sheets to 2 months to a sheet. And of course, this is letter size, but if you print on A4, just print actual size, so they'll still come out 5x4. So I'm printing these on paper also. Those little calendars that I put on the back are sized a little smaller than the 4x6 or the 5x7, so I've included those sized down a little bit if you want to put it on the back. These calendars, okay, now to make the tent, cut those out. I've got the instructions. Just take a look at your instructions. The 4x6, 2 different ways I give that you can do that. Now you can cut your cardstock out for your little tent, either to the 6-inch, so that it fits exactly the 6-inch wide, or if you cut it out 6.5-inch wide, you've got a little margin, like a little frame. So that's 6.5-inch wide, that's 6-inch wide. Now the only thing I will say about the 6-inch wide with the spiral binding, here's the one issue you want to take into consideration if you do spiral binding. If you use the flip method, when you flip these over, because the spiral goes in a spiral, you'll notice they don't flip over evenly, they flip over sideways. So I wouldn't recommend using the flip over method with the spiral binding. I would just use the regular one sheet at a time, and so that they can be torn off on that. Let's see. Okay, I went ahead and cut out these double-sided ones on cardstock. Put them in order, and I'm going to cut a sheet of craft cardstock. This is a nice heavy cardstock that's cover stock weight, kind of makes really good tints. So I'm going to do this one at 6.5 wide, and I like to use my Fiskars trimmer for all my cutting because it cuts a nice clean sharp cut. And then I use this little thing for the scoring. The cutting it's got cutting, but the blade wears out so quick that it just kind of tears instead of cuts. Anyway. Okay, so now look at our instructions, and there's two different ways. Let's see, I already cut one. I guess this one I cut just 6 inches wide. This is the second method, which is quickest and easiest, but it's going to leave the top open, which has its advantages and disadvantages, but I'll show you. First, I scored it at 4 1/4. Actually, I scored it first halfway. This is the whole 11-inch sheet, and I did a score halfway, which would be at the 5.5 mark, and then 4 1/4 and 4 1/4 this direction. So when you fold it, valley fold, mountain folds, and I use a bone folder or just a credit card to make my folds nice and tight. But this makes a nice, quick tent stand. It's open at the top, but your binding will hold it closed. Now, here's the part that I've found. The spiral binding, this one's done like that. You see it's open. And the spiral binding holds it closed very nicely because it's a tight binding. You can try it with some of the other closures. The discs, this one's with the disc, just to see. And I mean, it works. It stays kind of together, but you do have that little gap that's more noticeable because the discs are bigger. So, I actually recommend that mainly for the spiral binding. Okay, the other ones I use this first method, which is the glue method, and it keeps your top closed, so it works nicely for all the other methods of binding. Okay, so on this one we're gonna see. I'm going to score first at the 4 1/4, then at the 8 1/2, which will be another 4 1/4. Okay, so 4 1/4. Okay, then 8 1/2. Then 9 5/8, 10 3/4, and then that's going to leave a little quarter left, which is not ideal. If you have A4 paper, it's great at this point because you can leave a little bit more left. But let's see, 9 5/8, 9 1/2, 5/8. And then 10 3/4. And then that's going to leave, hopefully these two are equal, and that's going to leave that little 1/4 of a edge there that will be gluing. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, so mountain fold. Mountain fold. tiny one. If your cardstock's heavy, it's going to be a little bit harder to do. Okay, so how this goes together should match up perfectly. And we're going to run our glue against this edge. And my trusty, doesn't matter if you see that number because it's no good, I closed that account. Don't recommend them. Okay, so we're going to glue on that little edge. And you need a really good glue that's going to hold that together. This is my trusty Scotch Permanent glue stick. I use it for all my card making paper crafts. Okay, so we're going to glue that together, and while that dries, I usually put some clamps, paper clips, or something to hold it in place while it dries. Okay, so that's it for that. For those two 4x6 stands. And I'll show you the 5x7 and then how to put your binding on the top. Okay, now we got the 5x7 we're going to try. And here's our instructions. And I've already went ahead and cut them out, the individual months, on paper. The 5x7. I've got one piece of cardstock that's 7 inches wide, 6 inches long, and the other one 7 by 8.5. So the 7 by 8.5, we're going to score at 5.5. 5.5. And we're going to score at 6 3/4 and 8 inches. And that's going to leave us a 1/2 inch on the end. Now the 7 by 6 inch one, we will score on the 7 inch side. We're going to score a 1/2 inch over this way. Okay. Then we'll press our folds. And this is going to glue together, I guess, in 2 places. It's going to glue like this. This top is going to glue like that, and the bottom is going to glue there. Oops. And you'll want to also get some clips to hold those. That one should be dry. Just to hold that till it finishes drying. And then this edge is a little bit off. glue that top one together and let it dry too. Okay, so that's it for the 5x7 stand. And like I said, you can make it 7.5 inches wide if you want to, but this is going to fit. It's going to fit our calendar sheets perfectly. Okay, I'll set that aside to dry. We'll go back to our 4x6 that has finished drying the glue. And like I said, we're going to have the small one centered on the back. So go ahead and glue that down. See, I just used a piece of scrap because I knew I was gluing it down. Don't waste nothing. Kind of center it. And this one, I think I'll do the disc punch. I'll show you how that goes. I made a little template so I could center my, I made it for the 6-inch wide, and this is 6.5 wide, but that's fine. I'll just kind of center it, eyeball it. Actually, this side has the lines I want. Okay, paper clip. Okay, and the reason I got those lines is because there's a line here that shows exactly where my punch is going to go. I'm going to line my line up. I said these, I only have 6 because I've got the double-sided one. Got them in order. I'm gonna put some glue on them. I have glue on my fingers. Okay, I'm going to use my little template. These off at Amazon. Not really a lot of colors to pick from, but you can get you whatever you'd like. These are the same little discs they use for happy planners. So, you know, don't go and buy this punch and these discs. This is just for people that happy planner people can use their equipment, supplies, tools that they already have, and discs. It's just to show you this is another option. Depending on how many you're going to make as to whether you want to invest in anything special. It's a lot cheaper though than if you were to try to buy one of those punch machines for spiral binding. I just happen to have those for my notebooks. That one did fit up there good. Okay. Well, there we go. That's it for that one. flip over. Okay. Okay, now we'll go back to our 5x7. And I forgot to mention, I'll mention real quick here, besides cardstock, I used scrapbook cardstock weight scrapbook. You get different prints or plain. So if you have some scrapbook paper on hand, that's needs to be a strong enough weight to be able to support your tent. Okay, so I'm gonna use this for the back. I'm gonna glue my little calendar piece back here. And this is the one that I cut out that was slightly smaller than the 7-inch. I'm gonna bind this one a little bit different just so you can see how to use it with rings. And this white's not all that great. You could cover it with a different color so it stands out better, but it's just what I had on hand, a heavy weight. Okay, on this one I'll use these rings. These are just binder rings. And this happens to be about like a 3/4 size versus you can get the metal ones in a 1-inch or 3/4. 1/2 inch would probably even work. But on these, you can use the hole punch, but I found that it was rough on my hand. So I used my 3-hole punch, but I'm just using 2 of the holes. But you're going to want to center it. I probably should mark so that it's accurate, but anyway. Take a chance. Okay, and then I don't know if it'll let me go through all of them. Goodness, I'm going to take a chance. They're not lined up. Try to guide it into the same place as those. Perfectly lined up, it does still work. And with these, you can use the ones that are double-sided that flip over too, because they'll flip over just fine. So they hang down a little bit, but so you could probably even use a 1/2 inch. It'll hold it a little higher. And if you don't have the rings, you could tie some string in there, make some little bows or ribbon, and just hold them there with the bows or ribbon. Because if you print these out of paper, then you're going to be able to just tear them off. So it doesn't matter if you're holding it with string or whatever. Anyway, that's it. There's the little one like that. And just have fun creating these cute little calendars. They make quick little gifts to put together to give.